Good morning, Assalamualaikum to all the participants for today's webinar series 5 out of year 2020. The webinar series are from Renew Social Creativity and Innovation, and I'm Cik Ma Tambici. I'm the coordinator for Social Creativity and Innovation Renew in the Office of Timbalan Naib Chancellor Penyelidikan Inovasi. I will be moderating the session this morning. So some general housekeeping. The talk will be in 1 to 1.5 hours. So should there be any questions, you may address it at the end of the session, or you may also state the question at the chat space. And I will read the question for our speaker attention at the end of the talk. Okay, this morning we have the privilege to have Dr. Naginder from UiTM Perlis, okay, for her sharing on the title of Language Guidance on Writing Technique for Journal Manuscript, which will be focusing on abstract and introduction. Okay, just a little background from Dr. Naginder. Dr. Naginder is a senior lecturer at Academy of Language Studies, APP, UiTM Perlis branch. She has been teaching English for almost 30 years, is a keen writer and has written several books on Moet, and that leads her to won an Anugerah Academic UiTM in 2015. In book publication category. She has wide experience in editorial work and proofreading for various types of publications, such as coffee table book, textbook, branch campus newsletters, brochures, pamphlets, and journal manuscripts. Dr. Naginder regularly reviews research articles for several Scopus Index journals, and she's also the section editor for Malaysian Journal of Learning and Instruction, which is a Q2 journal. Wow, that's an impressive biodata. So without further ado, Dr. Naginder, I'll pass the floor to you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Prof. Chima. Yeah, and a very pleasant Friday morning to everyone present here. Thank you for your kind presence and participation in this webinar. Please allow me to share my screen before I begin. So the scope of our webinar this morning is language guidance on improving your writing technique for journal article, focus on title, abstract, and introduction. I have adjusted the title a little. Actually, I've improved the title because I reckon when we write journal articles, we begin with the title, right? So I reckon that we should include the title in this webinar as well, because let's begin at the beginning, and the beginning would be the title itself. Okay, now this is actually a continuation, a series of webinars we're going to have for 5 continuous weeks, okay? Beginning week 1, we'll talk about title, abstract, and introduction. And next week, my colleague will be speaking on literature review, followed by methods in week 3, week 4, findings and conclusion, and the last sharing will be on 4th December on citations and references. So my colleagues from Academy of Language Studies from various branch campuses throughout UiTM hope to provide the guidance and guidance on how we can best use language structures in writing the different sections of the research paper of the journal manuscript. Now, why have we divided into these 5 sessions? You know, because we have had many webinars where 3 hours are allocated or 2 hours are allocated for the entire research paper. Sometimes it's not effective because there is too much input, and sometimes the input is rather general. So that's why I think Renew is doing a wonderful, taking this wonderful initiative of looking at this section by section. And of course, you see, the other thing is, like, it is hoped that by the end of these 5 weeks, you would have actually gotten one full paper. Okay, so if you have some paper tucked somewhere in your PC, it's time to take it out now and start working on it. Today we'll look at the title, abstract, and introduction. You have 1 week to fine tune it, to work on it. We'll continue with literature review next week, and then methods until the end. And after 5 weeks, you'll have one paper ready for submission. That's the objective. Okay, we sincerely and really hope to achieve this objective. Okay, so 5 weeks, 5 Friday mornings. Reserve your next 5 Friday mornings for this writing session, yeah? And you'll find that actually writing a paper is a lot more easier than we actually think. Many of us feel that it's daunting. It sometimes takes us so long to get past one paper, but if we do it progressively, we'll get there. Okay, before I get on, let's look at the standard section of a journal paper, okay? Though the focus of this session is primarily on language, I will also have to cover or include sections of the manuscript so you know how we get along, okay? All right, so a standard manuscript journal paper would have these 4 sections: introduction, methods, results, and discussion. It's the IMRAD formula. But you see, some journals will have their own in-house formats where introduction and literature review is separated into 2 distinct sections. Yeah, you have the abstract, introduction, lit review, methods, results, and discussions, and conclusion. So yeah, it's either 4 or plus these 2 distinctly separated. Okay, so as I said just now, let's begin at the beginning. Let's begin with title. It may look really simple or trivial, but actually it's not. You know, like when you see someone, the first thing you would see is the person's face, right? And you form your impressions from about that person by looking at that person's face. Similarly, your article too, the title will carry a lot of weight. You know, a lot of it will determine whether the reader is interested in reading your article further or not. Because if your title does not give you enough information, the reader is not convinced to read further. Okay, generally, the title is written in a single phrase. Okay, like such as this: teacher-led initiatives in supporting learner empowerment among Malay tertiary learners. And the other example here at the bottom, below here. Now, title can be like the title separated by semicolon followed by the subtitle. Okay, so generally this is a single phrase. It can be written in a question form too. Now, when titles are written in question form, it actually piques the reader's interest. It arouses the interest to actually read on and to read further to find out the answer to the question that is posed in the title. So it's actually a good idea to write the title in question form too. Okay, however, title is never written in sentence form. Remember, like this: business strategy during crisis is important. Online learning will not be the new norm. Okay, these are titles that I've taken from journals I've seen, and I'm quite surprised that these titles, are allowed by the editors. Because look at the first title: business strategy during crisis is important. It's so vague. What strategy is being talked about, and which crisis? And it doesn't tell you very much. So normally titles like this would put off readers to read on further, and also it becomes burdensome. You got to read on and on to find out the content, because many a time when we hit the title, we'll know whether the article is suitable to our needs or not. Okay. The other one here: online learning will not be the norm, will not be the new norm. We never write titles in sentences. This is taken from this site. these articles do get published, but I don't think they get published in highly indexed journals. Yeah, in high indexed journals. Okay. Now let's look at the title here. How just be very careful with capitalization. We do know that articles and the, as well as prepositions and the infinitive to, are always written in small letters, while the other words are all written in capital letters. The first letter of each word is capitalized. Okay. It may seem trivial, you know, but you'll be surprised when we get articles to proofread, even edit, how much is lacking in papers. So if you're a novice writer, if you're joining this webinar and you're a novice writer, you're beginning to write, this information should be very helpful for you. And if you're an experienced, seasoned writer, let's take this as revision. Okay. Now, always avoid titles like this, which are worded like this: the study of, an investigation of, an empirical study of. That's not necessary, because if your article is published in a journal, it's a study. Yeah. So, and the other thing is the site of the research. You do not have to be so specific, like this, Pattaya city, in a secondary school in Penang, Malaysia. We do not provide so much information in the title itself, especially the site of the study. You could just write self-regulated in Malaysia. That would be fine. Okay, so avoid details about the site where the study took place. Now, as to the length of the title, most Q1, Q2 journals, I know they prefer 8 to 12 words, but if you see videos online, they'll tell you titles of up to 15 words are acceptable. Okay, I am guilty myself. I've written journal articles with titles longer than 15 words. When I look back at my old work that I have written, yeah, I noticed that, yeah, actually, title shouldn't be too long. It should be read in one breath. If it's very wordy, it's very difficult to grasp. Okay, so look at this one: business strategy during crisis. This is just too short. Like I said just now, because it's so short, it's vague. It doesn't convey the kind of information the reader would want to know that's contained in the paper. Okay, blended learning, the future for nursing. This is really very short too, and you don't know much from the title itself, like what would be the scope of the paper. So avoid that, you know. The title should be inviting. Should be inviting so that people want to read on and read further. Okay, look at this. Online learning experiences of university students in ELT and the effects of online learning on their learning practices. ELT means English language teaching. Now you'll see that most of my examples are from language learning, yeah, and social science examples, because that's where I come from. Yeah. Okay, let's try to make our webinar a little interactive, and shall we? Please feel free to comment and participate. Instead of me just speaking in a vacuum here, Prof. Chima, will that be okay if we take questions as we go along?
Hello, Dr. Naginder.
Yeah.
I'm Sham.
Hi, Sham.
Yeah, since you give me this opportunity to interact, I think thank you very much. Okay, I would like to get your tips regarding title.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to include method in the title or aims, something like that?
Sorry, could you repeat methods?
Method and aims, aim of study.
Oh, really, not at all. Not in the title. Not even the methods. Like sometimes you read a case study of. if I would want to use case study of, I would put it as a subtitle, you know, with a colon. With a colon, I write the phrase, I write the colon, and then I would write a case study.
That is not common practice for engineering. Usually we put method and some maybe we put aims.
Okay, so yeah, SNT, you would know better because I come from social sciences. So I'm sharing with you guys, all of you, what I know from my experience as the editor of the journals that we edit, right? Yeah. So thank you for your input. That's refreshing to know that aims and
Method.
what methods. Could
Yeah.
you give us an example?
Something like finite element modeling of dynamic vibration of jointed structure, something like that. Finite element is method and dynamic behavior is our aim. We want to study the dynamic behavior of bolted structure, something like that.
Sorry,
Usually,
could you repeat the title? Just the title.
it's titled finite element modeling
Huh?
of bolted joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For
That's also the scope, right? That you're looking at, that your method is what you are studying. Right? Say, for example, if I'm studying on blended learning, then blended learning becomes my method.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you get what I mean? Like
Yep.
in a parallel way, if I look at it in a parallel way, if my study is on blended learning in social sciences, like if I'm looking at cooperative learning among English language students, then that becomes my method.
One more thing I would like to get your point of view regarding article.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to put article? Some people they said we do not need to put article, something like the or a, something like that.
Oh no, you will have to, otherwise it will be grammatically incorrect. A study of the, look at this example, online learning experiences of students in ELT and the effects. See, the is the article. There is no hard and fast rule whether we use articles or not, or we don't use articles. The important thing is it must be grammatically correct. Yeah?
That is what I've been told by distinguished professor, right?
Okay, could you give
Yeah.
an example? As long as it's grammatically correct, you will be fine.
Yeah, he said we have two options, whether we use article or not. Is it okay? He said, yeah.
The papers that I have written and I have edited, and the papers that we look at all the time, they often have articles. But if my contention would be, if it's fine, grammatically fine without the article, go ahead. And if
Okay.
you have to write the article, remember it is in small letters. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for your input. Okay, now let's look at this. You know, it's so long. It's so mouthful. You should actually look at, when you read the title, you should be reading it in one breath. Are you able to read this in one breath? No, probably one and a half or two. Okay, would anyone like to try how this can be improved? And then the other thing here is ELT means English language teaching. Okay, right, I'll give you my suggestion. This is how I think the title can be improved. Online learning experiences and the effects on ESL university students' learning practices. The original title has got the word learning a few times, and then online learning experiences of university students in English language teaching, and the effects. All right, I've changed ELT here to ESL, English as a second language, because I'm talking about the types of students here, students who are ESL students. Okay, online learning experiences and the effects on ESL university students. So you see, the title can be improved. And it's way more important than we think it is. Now, all these titles are not my own creation. I've taken them from journals and articles that I've seen online. And I'm quite appalled. I was quite appalled to see this title, 20 words long. Principal Leadership and Teacher Professional Learning in Turkish Schools, Examining the Mediating Effects of Collective Teacher Efficacy and Teacher Trust. Wow, by looking at the title, everything is there. You know, there's just too much and it's too wordy. Basically, it's too wordy. It's important to provide enough information in the title, but it's too wordy. This is what I think it should be, you know, how it can be improved. Of course, it can be further fine-tuned. From 13 words, you can bring it down to probably 10 words. So you see how we can improve title? Title is ever so important because it makes it's so difficult to understand the scope if it's just too long. Okay? Right, this is another one. In the evaluation of others' leadership and one's own leadership, it just sounds so odd. Sounds so odd, really odd. So I've removed the whole phrase here, you know. In fact, you don't even have to write the role of. Straight away write gay men's internalized sexual stigma in evaluating leadership of oneself and of others. Okay, so you know the scope here is on the evaluation of leadership of one's own leadership and how others others lead. Right, so this is way shorter now, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 words. Pretty and nice. Okay. Right, so that's as far as the title is concerned. Would anybody like to provide any more input or opinions or, you know, to share? We will move on to abstract if there is no sharing by anyone. Okay, now let's look at the abstract. Now, abstract, we all know there are basically two types of abstract: structured with headings and unstructured abstracts, which is written in one paragraph. However, I do have a problem with the word unstructured, because how can any abstract be unstructured, yet it is called unstructured? Yeah. You see, this is how an abstract with subheadings looks like. Okay, we are all familiar with this. Okay, as well as the other unstructured abstract. Now, let's call the unstructured abstract written in one paragraph. Now, when we write a paragraph, an abstract like this, there is no need to write references in the abstract. Okay, say for example, you are using a particular model, you do not have to cite the year the model was postulated or invented. For example, if you're using Bandura's theory of self-efficacy, if I remember correctly, it was postulated in like way back in 1977. There is no need to write that in the in brackets in abstract. Okay, so remember, no citations in the abstract. Okay, no abbreviations. You should write in full. Okay, abstracts are generally 150 to 200 to 250 words. Okay, a typical abstract would have 6 points or 6 parts. This is the abstract, the informative abstract. Okay, there are some other types of abstract, descriptive abstracts, where you don't, where results and findings and conclusions are not given in detail. Okay, so you know. So this is what you'll include: the introduction, the background of the problem, the research, the keywords in the title, the problem statement, which would be the gap: what is known, what is unknown, what needs to be known further, what needs to be probed further, the purpose or the aim, methods, okay, a brief description, results and finding. You know, I had to dig deep into many articles to find the kind of abstract I was looking for. Of course, there are many other ways to write, but this is how I would write it and what I would suggest any novice person who is beginning to write articles take on this approach because it's really very simple to manage. Okay, this is an abstract which I have adapted a little. I actually improved the language. Consumers' perception of Islamic credit cards, an exploratory study. Okay, written by these UITM lecturers. Now you see, it's very clear. You have two words in the two sentences in the introduction. It goes on to describing the problem in two sentences, two brief sentences. Purpose explained in one sentence, methods, results, and implication. Can I leave you a minute to read this? A very well written abstract. All the key aspects are addressed with a clear structure, and by reading the abstract alone, you are able to cite this paper. You know, that's what a good abstract should do. Unless you're selling the paper is to be, you know, you have to buy the paper. But this is what a good abstract should convey. Okay, now this is only the format part. Okay, the focus today is on language. So how do we write the abstract? Now you tell me, oh, it's very easy to write. Include these 6 parts, these 6 sections, and I'm done. But what about how to write it? You know, often we struggle with language. Now, let me tell you, actually, in academic writing, the simplicity in structures is very much appreciated. There is no need to write complicated stuff. Just keep it very simple. Okay, let the focus of today's webinar, I'm going to focus more on tenses. My colleagues in the weeks to come will focus on other aspects of language. So today, we're focusing more on tenses. Let's look at these 3 main tenses which we will use in the abstract, okay, as well as the entire paper, as well as the introduction. The abstract and introduction can be written in 3 main tenses: the simple present tense, okay, the simple past tense, and the present perfect tense. Now, just to revise a little, what is the simple present tense? Simple present tense convey general facts or current circumstances. For example, COVID-19 is a menacing disease. What is underlined is the be verb, the verb to be, in the present tense. Yeah, okay, we were discussing tenses just now, right? I was explaining about tenses just now, and we have covered the simple past, simple present tense, and now simple past tense. Simple past tense is much easier to manage because the time is specific, it is known, okay? For example, COVID-19 is a menacing disease which started in Wuhan, China in December 2019. So yeah, look at the verb and we change the verb to the past tense, simple past tense using D, ED or IED. Okay, so when we talk about tenses, basically what are we referring to? We only working around, playing around with the verbs. The rest of the structure remains as it is. And if you have problems with your language, just remember a simple sentence has got a subject and a verb, and then you extend from there. It's really pretty easy to manage, actually, you know. Now, right, so another example here is COVID-19 is a menacing disease which was first reported in Wuhan, China in December 2019. Now, this is a passive verb. Earlier was an active verb, okay? Started is an active verb in the active voice, and this is a verb, a passive verb, which will be covered later by my colleague when results or methodology is being discussed, because we use a lot of verbs in the past in the passive form when we discuss methodology and other sections of the of the paper as we move along. Okay, now next would be the present perfect. Now, present perfect of all the tenses seems to be the trickiest of all, and the one that is most probably most mind-boggling or most difficult to manage. Yeah, because how do we differentiate present perfect from simple past? Basically, present perfect is used for events that are in the past, but the time is not known. The time is unspecified or the time is unknown. Whereas simple past tense is used for events or actions that were completed at a known time. Now, the other reason, the other reason we use present perfect is to describe events that were recently completed and are still ongoing. That means something that started in the past and it is still going on until now, may go on to the future. That's when we use the present perfect tense. If you can remember these two contexts clearly, you remember this, then you will always get your tenses right. Okay, your present perfect, you'll get your present perfect right. Remember, for unknown time and time from the past until the present. Okay, this is turning into a grammar class. Okay, it has taken, okay, look at this example. It has taken the lives of 1.2 million people worldwide. When I say has taken, means this is at an unspecified time in the recent past. Okay. To date, we have not found a vaccine to prevent COVID-19. Okay, so to date meaning until today. So from the past until now, you have some clues, you know, to date, until today, up to now. Okay, or other words like already. Yeah, then you know these are events in the past. To date is from the past until now. So these are clues which will help you understand how to use the present perfect tense correctly. Okay, moving on. So now that we have revised our tenses, the simple present tense, the simple past tense, and present perfect tense, theoretically seems really easy. So how do we use these different tenses in our abstract? Okay, it's actually quite manageable. Use the simple present tense to describe the background, the problem, or the purpose. And the purpose. Okay, BPP. Use the simple present tense for background, problem, and purpose. Use the past tense, simple past tense for methods and results, MR. And the present perfect can be used for background. If you find it difficult to manage, then write the background in the simple present tense. You do not have to meddle with or dabble with present perfect tense. If you find it difficult to manage, you can write it in simple present tense and be as effective. And the problem can be written in present perfect tense as well. So really, it depends on how sophisticated a writer you are, whether you want to work around simple present and simple past. That's doable, you see, because you can include the background, the problem, purpose, methods, and results, everything in using just these two sentences. To make it a little, if you are a better writer, then you can include the present perfect tense as well. Okay, now let me give you some examples. Prof. Chima, am I audible to you now? Am I here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, right. Please give me cue every 5 minutes. Right, okay. Let's look at the background. Okay, graphic organizers with instructional scaffolding are widely adopted as a teaching strategy based on research which supports its effectiveness. This is a compound sentence where simple present tense is used. Are widely adopted is a verb in the passive form, and which supports is an active verb. The subject here is graphic organizers. So you see, every sentence has got a subject and a verb, and the subject is graphic organizers. And once you know the subject, you are able to use the correct verb. So the verb would be the plural form of the verb, are. Okay, and then now why do we say supports here? As a teaching strategy based on research which supports its effectiveness. So in the second clause, research, which supports its effectiveness, the subject is research and the verb is a singular verb, which is supports. Okay, so I've gone really in detail here. I hope it's helpful. Present perfect tense, this is how you use it. Graphic organizers with instructional scaffolding have been adopted, because organizers, plural subject, yeah, so we use the auxiliary have been adopted as a teaching strategy in the past few decades based on past research that has proven its effectiveness. You see, past research where the time is unknown, unspecified. This is where we use the present perfect tense. So again, you can use any of these as your preferred tense, as long as the message goes across. So background, you can stick to present perfect or simple present tense. How do we write the problem statement? The problem statement can be written in the simple present tense as well as the present perfect. Look at the examples here. Despite the implementation of a student-centered approach in teaching, reading, and English, there are still many problems on students' reading comprehension. It is difficult to comprehend why students are unable to score in reading tests. It is difficult. Use the present, not the past, not it was difficult. Okay, then you will, save a lot of money on proofreading services. Okay, how will a sentence in present perfect tense look like? All attempts to improve students' reading scores have failed over the years. Over the years, now we will have to use the present perfect tense, because over the years means from the past until now, and it's still going on, despite the various techniques which have been introduced over the years, from the past until now. Second example, various studies have shown. When were these studies carried out? At unknown time, unspecified time. Therefore, we use the present perfect tense. Various studies have shown that teacher-fronted curriculum has produced negative results in developing learner confidence. Has yielded, has produced. Yeah. In the second example, the time is unknown, unspecified. Okay, I hope I'm making sense to you. Right, the purpose, let's look at how we write the purpose in the abstract. The purpose is written using the simple present tense. The current qualitative study aims to analyze students' experiences of ... This study examines. This study also provides. You do not have to go into the future tense, like the qualitative study will aim. This study will examine. The study also will provide. You don't have to bring in the future. Just stick to simple present and simple past. And you can write the abstract effectively. Because the aim is to get published, basically, and make the language as clear as possible, because if the language is really faulty, the article gets rejected at the editor's level itself. Okay, simple past tense, how do we write methods? Now, this is the easiest of all. This, for sure, would be in the past tense. And use the simple past tense. No need to bring in past perfect tense or any other complicated tense. Okay, so the method was a qualitative approach with face-to-face interviews as data collection instrument. The study employed, the study used both quantitative and qualitative means of data collection tools. Okay, results and findings preferably are reported in the simple past tense. You will see some abstracts reporting it in the present tense. using a variety of ways. I'm not saying that is wrong. It can be done. It actually depends on the sentence. Some sentences which are written in the present can be correct. The findings indicate that students had more positive experiences. It is correct. But I'm trying to guide you as to make it manageable for you. So just stick to one tense. So when you are reporting results and findings, you use the simple past tense all the way. It will never go wrong. Okay, the findings indicated that students had more positive experiences. Findings showed distance, wages, and working conditions exerted a direct effect on job stress. This is really correct all the way. But if I say findings showed distance, wages, and working conditions exert a direct effect on job stress, that's also correct because it shows working conditions having a direct effect on job stress as a fact in the current truth. So that is also correct. Now look at this. This is a little more complicated, like what I said just now, where you can mix the simple past tense and the simple present tense together in describing findings, in reporting findings. The findings indicated that students have more positive experiences. So you see, this is the past and this is the present. Indicated and have the present. Now, why do we use that? Because the findings indicated findings from the study which was completed. Now, students have more positive experiences. That's a fact, a current fact. Therefore, we are reporting it in the present. Okay, if you find this a little more challenging, then use simple past tense all the way. That's much more manageable. Here, again, findings showed distance, wages, and working conditions exert a direct effect on job stress, like what I explained just now. Okay, it's a fact. Current fact. The findings of this research revealed serious flaws in the present governance of polygamous marriage that lead to abuses. Okay, if you have any other problem, please feel free to intercept and ask. Okay, right. Conclusions and implications of research. You will find many writers would use the future tense to describe to write the implications of the research. But because I'm trying to tell you, to persuade you to use only these 2 or 3 tenses, so you can manage it with the simple present tense. So the study recommends, okay, educators to use this delivery mode in the future. So you're making the recommendation now. So use the simple present tense. The study suggests, the study implies that online learning is a profitable alternative. It is concluded the instructor is paramount. Okay, so I hope this makes sense to all of you. Okay, are you with me?
Doctor, can I ask something about tenses?
Sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
Can I ask something about tenses? Like say, abstract being written all in present tense.
All in present tense. Yes, that is correct. You see, like I said just now, it all depends on how sophisticated a writer you are. It is semantically not wrong, but then but you cannot write the methods in the present for sure.
Yeah, because we try to look the abstract more dynamic, sound more dynamic, and then it will rather writing abstract in present tense rather than present tense, past tense, present tense, and past tense, something like that. What do you think about that?
Okay, but methods, if you're reporting your methods in the study, it cannot be the study adopts the quantitative research where 25 students are interviewed. That doesn't sound so right to me. 25, at some point you will have to use the past. Yes, you can, the abstract can be primarily written in the simple present tense. As what I said just now, it can be managed in the simple present tense all the way if you are not comfortable with present perfect. But at some point, you would have to include the past tense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, right. Again, it depends sentence to sentence. Look at the overall meaning. Anything that is a fact, it's a current fact, it's a fact that is in simple present tense. Actually, simple present tense is the most widely used tense in English language. Most widely used. So if you can manage your simple present tense, you have already managed like 70% of your problems with tenses. And the other tenses used would be simple past and present perfect. Like present perfect continuous, past perfect, all these tenses are a little more complicated. Just leave them out of the scope of the paper, because our objective is to make it clear, to get the message across. Okay? Can we just try doing this, please? Can all of you please spend about 2 minutes?
Doctor?
Yes?
What about if you say that this study employs ordinary least square methods?
This study
what
employs.
Yeah.
So you
simple present
okay,
tense.
employs whatever. Yeah, that's correct. The study employs, but I think it would still sound better with in the past. This study employed. I'm of the opinion that it's best to describe methods in the past. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but semantically it's not wrong. Meaning is not wrong, it's correct. The study employs this. You can write simple present tense all the way, but you may run into a bit of a tricky sentence along the way.
Okay.
Yeah, it can be done. Okay, but like I said just now, write the background, purpose. Actually, if we look at the example I gave just now, I can go back to that slide. Simple present for background, problem, and purpose. And then you move on to describing the methods and results in the past tense. And the implication, you come back to simple present tense. Yeah, this is what I'm suggesting. Okay? What you are doing, it doesn't mean you're wrong or that I'm correct. This is what I'm suggesting.
Okay, Doctor.
To make it manageable. All right? Okay, I hope that's quite clear so far. Yeah, so we were here. We're kind of a little running late, yeah. Okay, let's look at this. In recent years, there has been an increase. Now, here you will have to use the present perfect tense. You cannot use was because of the word recent. Recent years means recent time, unknown time, unspecified time. Okay, the root cause of this problem is explicitly, it's not, it should be is not, is not or has not been explicitly addressed. So you see, most of the options that we have, can you see that the option of simple present is there together with present perfect? Again, this is simple present, exposure have. These questions were tackled in this study by analyzing the relationship between youth, media consumption, and cultural identity. I think what you're trying to say is, if you use the simple present tense, these questions are tackled in this study. I would think that it is less impactful in terms of conveying the meaning. I would still like to use the past to describe the methods. Okay, and then here you can the past again for findings. You can use the present or the past. Okay, this process of mimicry is found was found. Again, findings in the present or the past, then present, present. So you can see that what you were saying just now, that we can write the abstract in simple present tense. Yes, I am pretty much in agreement with that, except for this sentence. These questions were tackled in this study by analyzing the relationship between youth, media, consumption, and cultural identity. If you write it in the simple present tense, it will not be totally wrong, but it will certainly sound better if you use the past tense. Okay, as you can see the sample answers here, I've used the simple present tense in most parts of this abstract. And present perfect tense is an option if you can manage it. All right. So will that allow you to write a better abstract? I certainly hope so. Okay. We're running a little late, so I'm going to move on straight to the introduction section of the paper. Okay, are we good to go? Good to continue? Okay, now that we know how the abstract is written using the different tenses, what about the introduction of the paper? Now, the introduction of the paper is longer, right? It's just not one paragraph. So it's important because it provides the overview of the paper, provides most sections of, it sets the tone of the paper, and the scope of the study is established in the introduction. It's generally about 10% of the length of the total paper, about a page, or 3 to 4 paragraphs. If your paper is about like 20 pages long, then you may want to write about 1.5 pages at most, but don't write more than that. Okay, you don't need to write so much in the introduction. 1 page, short and sweet, is good. Okay, what are the things we include in the introduction? Now, if you look at the various journals, there are various ways people write. There are many, many ways, but all these things, the 5 or 6 things that are mentioned here, are included in the introduction. The background, the knowledge gap or the problem, some references to previous work, okay, that paves the way, that makes the way for this current study, and the rationale, the objective, the aim of this study. And you may also have some clarification of terms, definitions of, or abbreviations, or key concepts that are included in the introduction. Now, most introduction of any paper would have this, right? Okay, now the difference is some papers start with a problem straight away. Okay. Some start with the aim right away. So when you are reading and you're a new writer, you'll be wondering, gosh, how do I start? What do I do? Where do I begin? There's so many different ways of writing the introduction. Now, this is what I would suggest to you. Now, this is by no means the best way, but this is a workable way of managing the introduction of your paper, and you can be sure that the reviewer will not have comments or negative comments to make as far as the introduction is concerned. I call it the baggage formula. Okay, baggage here, not as in B-A-G-G-A-G-E, but baggage. Right? What does baggage constitute? We write the background of the topic. We start with the background. Okay, we start with the background, and then we move on to the gaps in studies, the problem that emerges, the problem that has emerged. What do we know about this topic? What is it that we don't know? What needs to be done? What needs to be explored? What's the gap? Basically, every study is to fill a gap, right? To address a problem. And the third part, you would be discussing as to how you're going to fill this gap. So therefore, the acronym baggage. You follow this, you will be on your way to writing a good introduction for your paper. Trust me, it works really well. Now, after this webinar, you look at some papers, look at the way they are writing the introductions, put 3 different papers in front of you and look at the 3 different ways the introduction is written. There is all kinds of techniques used. But in my humble opinion, the baggage formula works pretty well, works effectively. Okay, now this is the paper I'm referring to. Okay, self-directed learning curriculum, students' perspective of university learning experiences, and this paper is available at this website. And let's apply the baggage formula or to look at this paper. Okay, how does baggage formula work? Part 1 is the background. Okay, I don't call it paragraph 1. I call it part 1. Part 1 is where you start writing the background of the study. Now, in this, you would write 1 or 2 paragraphs. You write the background of the issue. Use keywords in the title to expand the background. You can use a funnel approach from general to specific, okay, from broad to specific, from broad to specific areas of discussion. 1 or 2 paragraphs only. Okay, this is an example. Please read. Okay, so in the background, you're actually talking about self-directed learning. And note, all the verbs are in simple present tense. Okay, take note, it's all written in the simple present tense. Now, in this case, the background here has got 2 paragraphs. What is in blue is the topic sentence, and the other sentences are the supporting details related to the topic. A reference to past research is also given. Okay, so you write 1 or 2 paragraphs providing the background using the simple present tense only, and if you need to, you can include the present perfect tense. Write simple and short sentences. You really do not need to write complicated, long, lengthy, convoluted sentences. Remember, in academic writing, simplicity is very much appreciated. Now, these are some useful structures you could use when writing the introduction. There has been a lot of interest in, a lot of research has been carried out in the area of, it's widely known that in recent years, there has been a lot of focus on, you're just introducing the topic, zooming in. Now, what do we have in the baggage formula for the second part of the introduction, where you would actually write the gap? Now, this is the difficult part of the paper, right? Should I say the most difficult part? Yeah, I would say so. It is difficult to establish the gap, establish the problem. We need to discuss the problem, the conflict. What's the conflict there? And what other studies have found related to the conflict, to the topic? Have they succeeded in cementing all gaps or all problems? So you will digress, or you will go deeper into this by writing about 1 or 2 paragraphs, okay, which will be a paragraph 2 or 3, by using the meal formula. This is something I found in one of the YouTube videos. I found that quite a good way of writing it, where you have the main point, the evidence. Evidence basically is citation, analysis of the problem, and link it to your current study. Okay. Now you may wonder what this means. Here's an example. Okay, this is the gap. Okay, the gap, the topic sentence is in blue. There's a lack of initiative. I'm using only the simple present tense, using active voice and passive voice, and using very simple structures. Coherence is very important. You know, you develop the paragraph showing the gap, what others have found and what is yet to be found. Okay, if you follow me, right? Can I go a little faster? Let's speed up. Okay, so here are some useful structures to discuss, to put forward the gap or the problem. Several studies have shown. Now I'm using the present perfect tense. Can anybody tell me why? Okay, teacher asks, teacher answers. Okay, have shown present perfect because the time is unspecified. Okay, unknown time in the recent past. So several studies have shown that on one end, some studies have found whatever, and on the other hand, some researchers say that, okay, so you're showing two different perspectives. Can write it in one sentence like this. This problem or predicament has resulted in. So that's the issue here, and this is the results. These are the results. And therefore, until now, it remains unclear, it remains ambivalent, it remains ambiguous, it remains obscure. What is the best way forward? And therefore, my study comes in. Okay, remember, only about 3 to 4 paragraphs, write clearly, and you will do a really good job, swell job, you know. Writing really isn't a problem. Time is a problem. Finding the time to write. Yeah. Okay, in our baggage formula, part 3 will be how. Now that I've established the problem, I've established a gap. I know this is the problem. How am I now going to address this problem? When I address this problem, I would include these few things in the final section of my introduction, where I will state the purpose of my study. This is where I come in with purpose. I'll give the research questions and hypothesis of the research. Yeah, in SNT, you got lots of hypotheses. You bring in there, and the definition of key concepts, if need to be explained further, even I would, and yeah, I'll bring in at the end of the introduction in one paragraph. So there you go. You already have your introduction done. Okay, so look here, how to fill the gap. You have here the main research question. Okay, research question. The aims, this study investigates. Some writers also tend to include what sort of study they are taking, they're carrying out in the introduction, but just one statement will do. No need to make it so detailed, right? This qualitative study or this empirical study, just stop there, because you have your methodology, the long section later where you discuss it in detail later. So as far as the introduction is concerned, 3 to 4 paragraphs will do. I tell you, this may sound so simple, so basic, but I, as an editor, as a reviewer, I feel so frustrated when I read works, you know, by either postgraduate students or researchers, where they just include everything. It's so obvious that it's just a copy paste work, or they've just extracted a section of their thesis and just included that in the introduction section. That won't do. You know, you still have to write it out properly. At least write it in a concise way. So quite a disappointment, actually. That's why I'm sharing with you my experiences on what I have seen and how frustrated I have been as a reviewer. And I feel that if you follow this baggage formula, you will get there. Very simple. The background, start with the background, go into the establish the gap. Yeah. and then talk about how you're going to fill the gap. That's it. It's like you're doing construction work. All right, now, so some useful structures here. The aim or goal or purpose or objective of the present study is to. The research questions for this research is or are. Okay. Again, the simple present tense. Simple present tense all the way. Simple writing all the way. To test this hypothesis, the researchers plan to. So you don't have to include the future tense. This this paper will look at. No need, have a standard template. Work on that. But that doesn't mean you kill the creativity in you. As long as whatever you are writing is in accordance. Yeah. All right. So basically, that is how we would write the introduction, where we will include the background, we will include the gap, the G, and how to fill the gap. Okay, now the last section, I would like to just highlight a few language guidelines you need to bear in mind when you are writing the introduction section of your paper. Okay, write in paragraphs, one idea in one paragraph only. Okay, you have the background in one paragraph, then you got the problem in one paragraph, then you got how you're going to address this problem in one paragraph. Okay, or you may write two paragraphs in the background with two perspectives of the problem, of the issue, sorry. Okay, then begin with a topic sentence. The samples I showed you just now, what was in blue, is the topics. This is the topic sentence. Okay, start with a topic sentence and include only details which are relevant. Okay, and omit unrelated details. It's always useful to edit your own work before you submit. Okay, don't overuse first person pronoun, I, and or we. Now, I'm not saying this is wrong. This is completely acceptable. This is acceptable. But I'm of the opinion that writing we or I, my study or I decide, I think it sounds pompous, right? It's a very Western way of writing, whereas I think we prefer to use the passive voice. It's preferred. Okay, personally, I prefer to use the passive voice. I never write myself as I or we in my papers. I never do that. I would always refer to myself as the researcher or the researchers. Yeah, because I'm just not comfortable writing using I or we. But like I said just now, it is not wrong. But please do not overuse. Don't overuse first person pronoun. Limit it. Okay. We explore the approaches proposed by, you could say the approaches proposed by ... are explored. Use the passive form. Always nicer to read, sounds less taking too much ownership and credit. I don't know, I stand corrected. You can challenge me on this. It's again my opinion. Okay. We argue that there is no real theory or success of management. Or you can write it, you could rewrite this as it is argued that there is no real theory. Okay, but if you are comfortable with this, go ahead, but please do not overuse the first person pronoun right up from the introduction till the end of the paper. When you're writing the conclusion and you say, I believe, we believe, it sounds more like, doesn't sound an academic paper anymore. Okay, next. Write concise sentences. Avoid long-winded sentences. Many of us are persuaded to believe that the longer we write, the more complicated the sentence is, the smarter we will look. But really, it's not. I think the more frustrated the reviewer will be, the more exasperated the experience would be. Okay, keep it really simple. Look at this sentence. It's so long. If you are a sophisticated writer, by all means, okay? write compound sentences, write complex sentences, write in any way that you fancy. But if you are beginning and language seems to be the problem and you feel that you don't want to, you know, poke a hole in your pocket by spending so much on proofreading, keep your sentences simple. Look here. Graphic organizers with instructional scaffolding are widely adopted. The original sentence has been adopted. I'm using the simple present tense, are widely adopted as a teaching strategy based on research which supports its effectiveness. I've used this example previously. So you see, it becomes so easy to manage. Subject, verb, and you expand from there. Okay. Another thing, I have to share this with you. I tell you, people use acronyms and just assume that the reader will know what these acronyms are. Very often in English language papers, of course, even though this journal is on English language research here, they would use words like ELT, EFL, ESL, assuming that the reader will know. You cannot write the abbreviation at first mention. First mention, you have to write it out in full. For example, basic interpersonal communicative skills, BICS. And then later on mention BICS. And please, no need to say henceforth BICS. I see a lot of that too. No need. Okay. And cognitive academic language proficiency, CLP, CALP. And no need to say henceforth CALP. No need. So continue. BICS are language skills needed in social situations or day-to-day interaction to interact socially with other people. Right. Since the socio-cultural theory, SCT, is strongly inspired by social interactions that take place in meaningful contexts. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is that when you use abbreviation, at first mention, you have to write it in full. Okay, I did mention just now in the abstract, you are not encouraged to write abbreviation in the abstract. It should be written in full.
Doctor, what
Yes?
about the abbreviation in our title?
Abbreviation in your title. That is okay, because I too have published papers with abbreviations in the title in ELT. Yeah, that's fine. But please do explain in the writing, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Right, really. So, what's the word? It's very, very frustrating, you know, to see basic, simple techniques of writing are not adhered to by many writers nowadays. And before, there's so much of this zeal to submit papers, and we tend to forget the simple responsibility that we need to fulfill before we send the paper across. And our lack of understanding of, you know, care becomes another person's source of frustration. Okay, all right. Next, numbers. Now, please do not start a sentence with a number. Okay, like this. 30 students and 1 lecturer were involved in the study. Now, there are two things here. We do not start a sentence with a number. 135 students participated in the study, which lasted 8 weeks. The other thing, 1 lecturer. Numbers between 1 to 9 are spelled out. 10 onwards, we write the digit. So this should be written like this. A group of 30 students and 1 lecturer. 1 spelled out because it is less than 10. Now, you can refer to the APA format. Okay, APA format 7th edition, APA manual 7th edition. It has got lengthy explanation on this. But for now, it's sufficient to know that we do not begin the sentence with a number. A total of 135 students participated in the study, which lasted 8 weeks. I do try to teach this to my students in my academic writing paper that I teach. You know, so they are aware of this. Finally, okay, I think. Okay, use. Sorry, I think I jumped slide. Right. Use words which are more impactful. COVID-19 is predicted. Use suitable synonyms which are more impactful. To have. To place greater emphasis. Will significantly change. Will significantly transform. There is a whole load, a list, you know, of synonyms, but then again, it depends on the sentence. So we can get there with some practice. Okay, some impactful words would be: the study was done. It's too straightforward, too simplistic. It's good to say the study was conducted, the study was carried out. Okay, the method used, the method employed, the method utilized, because you're going to say, describe the method so many times in your studies. So please have a variety of ways to express it, to convey this. Okay, the problem has caused, the problem has resulted in, the problem has led to. I'm sorry, there's a mistake, a spelling mistake here. It should be led to, LED. The problem has led to, okay, not lead to. Present perfect, use the participle. The problem has led to, ... Okay, it's already 12 o'clock. And for lastly, okay, use impactful adjectives like this: unavoidable, inevitable. See what suits, what fits in the sentence. We often say a suitable way. Why don't we write in a better way? Make it a little more good, you know, interesting to read by a viable way. Okay, impactful nouns would be like this: a way, a method, an avenue, a tool, points, arguments, situation, scenario, negative situations, a predicament. So if we prepare this list, actually we all have this list. You'll find that when you write, this list will be quite useful to you. Okay, so I stop here. Okay, and this webinar will be continued next week on week 2. It's 13/11. Yeah, 13 on with this title. Next week's webinar will focus on literature review. Okay, let's focus on language guidance. Yeah, language guidance on improving your writing technique for journal article. Focus on literature review. This webinar will be hosted by another lecturer from APB, from another branch campus.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Naginder.
Right. So I hope this is useful to you. I have shared with you what I know and what I have learned over the years from experience and you know, of reviewing, of writing, and so forth. Okay, I'm sorry for the extra 6 minutes. That's to make up for that 6 minutes I went MIA.
We are still open for question and answers, if you don't mind, Dr. Naginder.
Yeah, sure.
If there's any question, maybe you can address to Dr. Naginder, or else just now Dr. Naginder has shared her email. Maybe we can personally email you some.
Yes, feel free. I'm always available to help anyone anytime.
At ninder@uitm.
Yeah.
.edu.my.
Yeah,
So,
find me there.
Yes. So for those who would like to further collaborate with Dr. Naginder, or maybe ask questions personally, then maybe you can email her directly. However, I would just would like to remind you, remind everybody, the participants, that next week, as Dr. Naginder mentioned, we have the series 2, after we have learned preparing our abstract, preparing our our the first part of our paper.
Introduction.
Next week we will move on into the literature review. Okay, just one question, Dr. Naginder. Is there any differences between abstract and executive summary? Because there are some studies or some call for papers, they ask for executive summary. And then after executive, they state that please send us your executive summary. They do not use abstract. Is it different or is it the same?
You know, executive summary is like what you would have when you apply for grants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But isn't it similar to an abstract? Executive summary would be longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 300 words. But abstract for journals are generally about within 250 words. Executive summary would be much longer.
So is it safe to say that executive summary is like what you would expect in the study, whereas abstract is the reporting part of what you have done in your study?
Executive summary would be what you expect.
Yes, they expect,
but
right?
You have done the research, right? So you know what to expect. It's like baju lain badan sama.
Okay, but the content, or how about the content, Dr. Naginder?
Within the content also be including the background, the methods and so forth. I know journals that, I mean, social science papers always would require abstract. We always use abstract for journal manuscripts and also for journal manuscripts and even conferences. Use abstract.
I agree with you that
executive summary would be longer. That's all, but I think the content is about the same.
Similar.
Right.
And it is usually being used for grant application, right?
Yeah, grant application, right? We will use executive summary only for grant application. That's where I only use for grant application. I guess it's like what you would expect to achieve, but the findings are not done. My experience of writing executive summary is only as far as grant writing is, grant application is concerned. I've never written an executive summary for manuscript. Like you said, executive summary, of course, you would include what you hope to achieve in that study. Again, the significance of the study is very important in executive summary. You know, when we're applying for grants, they will tell us the significance is key criteria, right? Because that's what they will read your executive summary only when they want to, grant you the grant.
Yes. Thank you again, Dr. Naginder. We'll hope to see you around. Maybe next week you'll be coming as one of the participants to maybe share.
I sincerely hope to be around. I do have a class at 10 to 12 every Friday, but I do hope to be around to support my colleagues. And again, like those of you who have joined this webinar, please do ensure that you are able to write your introductory title, abstract, and introduction within these 7 days. And come in next week. Remember, within these 5 weeks, the end objective, Renew hopes to ensure that you have already written your paper.
Yes, you have homework. In other words, Dr. Naginder.
In other words, you have homework. So my colleagues will take over from here and ensure that you have done your homework for this week. I hope Dr. Effendi is here. He's hosting the webinar next week.
Yes, all right, okay. Thank you again. Thank you to all the participants that have joined us for today's session. Please remember to fill in the attendance Google form, and we'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.
Yes, thank you very much. Before you leave, sorry, to the participants, where am I? In the chat, I'm still sharing my screen here. I did mention just now that you need to read the APA manual. It's always my go-to place, go-to source for anytime I'm I need answers. So there are 17 changes between the 6th edition and the 7th edition. This is the latest one. So please read this. Many of us are not aware of this.
Okay.
Okay.
We have two homeworks from Dr. Naginder.
Yes, too. Yeah, because you realize, oh, we have been writing like this all the while. No, in APA 7th form edition, we don't write XYZ way anymore.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Naginder.
Okay, thank you very much for granting me the opportunity, and I apologize for any shortcomings, and thank you for being here with me. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.